Welcome to Hollywood World. In today's video, we're diving deep into the darker, wilder side of old Hollywood, a time of glitz, glamour, and dangerous indulgence behind closed doors. We'll uncover the 15 worst stoners of Hollywood's golden age, stars whose fame, fortune, and addictions collided in ways that shocked the world. Before we begin, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss our latest Hollywood deep dives. Now, let's roll the reel and step back into a time when Hollywood was beautiful, broken, and burning with temptation. 1. Howard Hughes. Billionaire filmmaker and aviator Howard Hughes lived a life that would make any modern stoner look tame. Later in life, he became addicted to painkillers, tranquilizers, and possibly marijuana. Retreating into isolation and paranoia, by the 1960s, Hughes was living in dark hotel rooms, surrounded by bottles of urine and refusing to cut his hair or nails. His drug-fueled obsessions turned a brilliant mind into a haunted shell, a tragic fall from grace for one of America's greatest innovators. 2. Peter Lawford. Member of the infamous Rat Pack, Peter Lawford was both movie star and political insider, married to JFK's sister, no less. But behind the polished image, Lawford was deeply entrenched in Hollywood's party scene, where marijuana, cocaine, and alcohol flowed endlessly. His home became a playground for the elite, and rumors linked him to the tragic final night of Marilyn Monroe. Lawford's addictions eventually destroyed his health and career, leaving him a forgotten casualty of excess. 3. Billie Holiday. Though she was more famous for her music than her acting, Billie Holiday worked in films and lived among the Hollywood elite during the 1940s. Her story is one of pain, beauty, and addiction. Holiday was open about her use of marijuana and heroin, and her struggles became a tool for the government's early war on drugs. She was arrested multiple times, often targeted because of her race and defiance. Despite everything, her voice and legacy remain immortal, a haunting echo of both artistic brilliance and systemic cruelty. 4. Paul Newman. Though mostly known for his clean-cut image, Paul Newman admitted in later years that he experimented with marijuana during Hollywood's mid-century heyday. Friends recalled casual smoking sessions during breaks in filming or private gatherings. Newman managed to avoid the tragic fates of his peers, perhaps because he balanced his indulgences with discipline and purpose. Still, his candidness about occasional drug use was unusual for someone of his stature, proving that even Hollywood's golden gentlemen weren't entirely angelic. 5. Jean Harlow. Jean Harlow, the original blonde bombshell, lived fast and died young. While not publicly linked to hard drug use, her social circles were filled with marijuana, morphine, and cocaine. Insiders whispered that Harlow experimented with weed and alcohol at Hollywood parties to escape the suffocating control of studios and men in power. Her sudden death at just 26 shocked fans, another example of how Hollywood's obsession with image could destroy the vulnerable behind the scenes. 6. Mickey Rooney. We end our list with Mickey Rooney, one of the most famous child actors in history. By the time he was a teenager, he was already drinking, smoking marijuana, and womanizing, habits that continued throughout his tumultuous adult life. That Rooney's incredible success in the Andy Hardy films made him rich and famous, but the pressure broke him. He later admitted that Hollywood ate him alive. Though he lived a long life, his relationships, finances, and reputation were all scarred by decades of substance abuse and excess. 7. Errol Flynn. Let's start with Errol Flynn, the ultimate golden age bad boy. Known for his roles in Captain Blood and The Adventures of Robin Hood, Flynn lived a life that blurred the line between fiction and reality. Off-screen, Flynn was notorious for his love of women, alcohol, and drugs. He was famously associated with opium and marijuana, substances that were scandalous at the time. His parties were legendary, filled with stars, jazz, and clouds of smoke. His mansion, Mulholland Farm, was a symbol of sin and excess. By the late 1940s, Flynn's health was in ruins due to heavy drinking and drug abuse. He died at just 50 years old, a fallen icon of Hollywood hedonism. 8. Judy Garland. Next, we can't talk about stoners and addicts of Hollywood's golden age without mentioning Judy Garland. Behind her bright smile and magical voice in The Wizard of Oz lay a tragic battle with drugs fed by the very studio that made her a star. MGM allegedly forced her to take amphetamines to stay awake during long shooting schedules, and barbiturates to sleep. These habits became lifelong dependencies. Marijuana and alcohol later entered the mix as Garland sought any form of relief from her crushing anxiety and exhaustion. Her early death at 47 was ruled an accidental overdose, one of the most heartbreaking examples of how Hollywood exploited and destroyed its brightest stars. 9. Robert Mitchum. Robert Mitchum, star of Out of the Past and The Night of the Hunter, didn't care about Hollywood's image rules. He was one of the first A-list actors to be busted for marijuana possession in 1948, and instead of denying it, he owned it. His mugshot became a piece of counterculture art. Mitchum served time in jail but came out with his reputation somehow stronger. His cool, cynical persona matched the rising rebellion of post-war America. Mitchum's relaxed attitude toward weed helped crack the stiff moral facade of Golden Age Hollywood. 10. Marilyn Monroe. Behind the glamour, Marilyn Monroe battled crippling depression and dependence on prescription drugs, alcohol, and occasionally marijuana. Though not a heavy stoner in the modern sense, she was surrounded by Hollywood's party culture and often used substances to cope with sleeplessness and anxiety. Friends reported that she sometimes used marijuana to calm her nerves during downtime. Her mysterious death in 1962 remains one of Hollywood's most haunting tales, a mixture of fame, loneliness, and substances that silenced one of the brightest lights ever to grace the screen. 11. Montgomery Clift. Montgomery Clift was one of the most gifted actors of his generation and one of the most tortured. After a near-fatal car accident in 1956, Clift's face was shattered, and so was his spirit. Painkillers, alcohol, and occasional marijuana use became his refuge. His friend Elizabeth Taylor tried to save him from his downward spiral, but the damage was done. Hollywood insiders called him the slowest suicide in show business. Clift's tragic end at 45 symbolized the dark side of fame and addiction in an era obsessed with perfection. 12. Ava Gardner. Known for her beauty, wit, and tempestuous relationships, Ava Gardner was another Golden Age star who indulged in hard living. While she was more associated with heavy drinking than drugs, she was part of the Hollywood social circles where marijuana and opiates flowed freely. Ava was open about her disdain for Hollywood's hypocrisy and once said, "I never said I was an angel." She embraced life on her own terms, and while it sometimes led to chaos, it also made her one of the most unforgettable personalities of her era. 13. Bela Lugosi. The face of Dracula himself, Bela Lugosi, was one of the earliest Hollywood stars to publicly admit his drug addiction. After years of using morphine and methadone to treat chronic pain, he became completely dependent. In the 1950s, Lugosi checked himself into rehab, becoming one of the first celebrities to do so openly, a shocking move at the time. Though his addiction overshadowed his later career, Lugosi's honesty and vulnerability made him a pioneer in confronting the hidden sickness of Hollywood stardom. 14. Spencer Tracy. Spencer Tracy was one of the most respected actors of his generation, but behind his Oscar-winning performances lay a dark battle with alcoholism and sedative dependence. While marijuana wasn't his main vice, Tracy was part of a social elite that dabbled in every forbidden pleasure. His addiction strained his health, faith, and long-term relationship with Katharine Hepburn. Tracy's story is a reminder that even the most disciplined performers weren't immune to Hollywood's temptations. 15. Tallulah Bankhead. The ever-outrageous Tallulah Bankhead was famous for her wild lifestyle and open drug use. She smoked marijuana constantly, bragged about her affairs, and broke every rule of polite society. She once said, "I'm as pure as the driven slush." Bankhead's scandalous behavior shocked 1930s audiences, but it also made her a queer icon and symbol of liberation long before her time. Her love of weed and whiskey became legendary, and she didn't care who knew it. The golden age of Hollywood is often remembered as glamorous and innocent, filled with elegant premieres, iconic movies, and timeless stars. But behind the glittering facade was a world of addiction, exploitation, and hidden pain. The term stoner today often refers to laid-back cannabis culture, but in those days, it was a mark of scandal and destruction. Studios hid their stars' habits to protect profits, publicists buried the truth, and the media turned a blind eye. For every shining success, there was a quiet tragedy, a star lost to the very system that created them. These 15 celebrities weren't just stoners. They were symbols of Hollywood's most human side, vulnerable, broken, and searching for peace in a world that demanded perfection. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget, like, subscribe, and turn on the bell icon for more deep dives into the hidden stories of Hollywood's past. Until next time, this is Hollywood World, signing off. Thanks for watching.